from here. Today, I want to talk about Ruth and some lessons that we can draw from her life. This young lady's life, the introduction into her existence and when she was brought to our awareness was started with tragedy. Of course, when the Bible described her, she was described as a Moabitess. And these are categories of people that God actually cursed. If you remember the history of how the Moabites came about, they came about from the incest committed by Lot's daughters. And so we have the Moabite and the Edomite, and then we have this generation of people that God actually detested because of how they started. So we see sometimes that people are a product of their background, There are some things that you inherit, not because of you, but because of certain ancestral sins or even righteousness. And so you can see certain people that are situated, they do so little, they gain so much. And then you wonder, why is this person's life so easy? Whereas some people, they do so much and yet struggle so much. And then you wonder, what is happening? Is it that God loves some people and he hates some people? Meanwhile, we do not have the privilege to understand our ancestral line. Except if maybe when we ask questions or it is told to us how we started. And so this woman started on the wrong side of history. And the Moabites also, of course, did not, because you could be cursed by God and ask the Lord to change your name. Look at this guy in the Bible, Jabez. His name was literally meant sorrow, and yet he prayed and the Lord changed his life. Jacob was a hustler, was meant to be a struggler, a deceiver. But then at a point in time, he had to wrestle with the angel. His name was changed. So although we don't get to choose where we come from, but we can choose how we end. We can choose what becomes of us. We do not let where we come from define us. And so the story of Ruth started it's already like a stigma. She's a Moabite. And maybe in our kingdom, in our country, that would not be a problem. But then I've been associated with somebody from, Israel, so a Jew, it looks kind of, somehow. But of course, Naomi had like a kind of also terrible lifestyle. In fact, when she came back from let me even start from the beginning. The husband of Naomi, Elimelech, left the country because of maybe some famine in the land. They had some problems, so he left that place and then went to sojourn with the Moabites. And of course, when you relocate, usually your children, become accustomed to the tradition of the land, they integrate. And so it's so very important when in our bid, maybe we're escaping from maybe poverty, so many things happening in our country, and you want to relocate. You have to also consider your children. You have to consider that wherever you go to, that is where they become practically citizens of. They married there. A lot of things then get decided upon. And sometimes you then get to inherit whatsoever, is transferred from that generation of maybe the country where you are situated, because every country, every region has its own story. And so I want to talk about, so it's so important that when we relocate, we ask the Lord and we are sure of divine guidance. So Naomi and Elimelech left the land in pursuit, of a greener pasture, and then in the process, Naomi lost her husband and lost her two children. Let me not get ahead of myself. And so before the children died, they got hooked to certain daughters in that land, which is normal. So we have a Ruth and Orpah. And we can see a story that began with some element of misfortune. And then many people start their lives already on the negative side of history and they wonder, what is going to become of me? Ruth also started that way, but she wrote the story of her life. So this episode, we'll be talking about how is she able to get out of from a wrong history, from a wrong generation, and enter and become, and she became engrafted into another set of generation that is blessed. So that at the end of the day, when we would talk about the lineage of Christ, Ruth was mentioned because she gave birth to a son that is mentioned in the lineage of Christ. And so we see that our story, our past does not define us. Our history does not have to be our story. But that's how our story started. And then after the relocation, Elimelech and his sons died. And then Naomi took a bold, you see, the problem we have is that, especially with people maybe that have relocated, you get to a place, you see that things are not working, and then you see some people, they would prefer to die. They know that maybe they made a mistake even relocating or going to the wrong place. I remember there was a time then I got a government job in my home country, and then I'd worked there for 3 months before I then decided to relocate to that town, because I was transiting from another state. So I would go then and go and come, although I was heavily pregnant then. So shortly after I had my baby, and then with my husband, we decided, okay, because he was not even living within that state where we are located, he was working in another state. So we decided, okay, why don't we just go there? And the way I got the job, it was so easy. So I just basically thought that it was the Lord. Although I still found a way of asking the Lord, okay, this job came like on a platter of gold. I didn't even plan to get the job. So that kind of situation. And then, so when I went there, then we relocated, then changed the children's school. Within 2 months, 4 children then, you can imagine, we paid rent. Within that 2 months, oh God, the heavens were closed. Things became very bad. They did not even pay any salary. Throughout the time I was there, everything was just downhill. I just saw that the heavens. Then I began to ask questions. What is wrong with me? Like, what is happening? What am I? If I know that I got this thing easily, so why is the heavens suddenly closed? It was so difficult. And then even everything that happened just showed what is wrong. But I did not know until I relocated to that state. So 2 months afterwards, we paid rent for 1 year. Where I live, we pay rent for a year. And then, but within 2 months, we had bought uniform, paid school fees, done everything. One day, I just kept hearing this thing, like revelations of destruction and everything. Then I spoke with my husband. He was like, wait, let's keep praying. I spoke with a friend too. And it was a government job, you can imagine. And God. Then one day, I just got the passage, remember Lot's wife. I'm like, whoa, no, God, we are not doing that. Am I that bad? Like, just tell. Then I said, okay, I was going to drop a resignation letter on Monday. But then that was on a Saturday that I got that passage. Then I said, okay, God, I just need a confirmation, because we have paid a lot, we have spent a lot. How do I come back from this? Then I need a confirmation from a man of God. I know my husband has agreed, because once he hears me say God is saying this, he usually supports it without questioning. And so I went to church. Unfortunately, it was not the pastor of our church that preached. Like, it was like a combined service. So the group leader, I went to meet him and then greeted him, opened and let him just say something. But he didn't say anything. So then I just took courage and said, well, it's better, at least I know how God speaks to me after how many years. So I went to meet the pastor and said, although we just started coming to the church just within 2 months, he didn't even have my number. Only his wife had my number. And then I told the pastor, I said, sir, it's time it's like God doesn't want us to be here. What are the things I saw? What are the signs I saw? Things started turning financial. There was like a closed heaven. Then you just start seeing mysterious things, like some people threatening you. There was a guy then threatening us. The first day we moved into that house, like a thief almost broke in, stole something from our window. Thank God there was no phone on the window. Then there was just this strange loss of peace. A new car started developing some faults. things were just, I don't know. Every other thing was okay. The environment was nice. People were nice around. The workplace was very nice. Although there were some issues, but then it was not enough to leave. But then it was a convenient place for my career, but that was I knew how God speaks to me, and I saw those signs. And then I told the pastor, I said, Pastor, it appears that the Lord wants us to leave this place. He said, what did I say? I said, all these revelations I've been getting and everything. And I told him, he wasn't the one that preached, but I told him, he's the pastor of the church. I told him, this God just told me that I should leave. He just looked at me and said, truly, you're a child of God. I'm like, sir, what did you see, sir? Then he said, do you know on Thursday, do you remember the message I preached? I said, we came late that day. Yes, he said yes, but did you remember? Yes, he preached about Jonah, that God sent him to Nineveh, but went somewhere else. He said as he was preaching, God spoke to him and said, that sister is in the wrong place. I was like, sir? And you didn't tell me. He said, how can I? He doesn't even know how to start. We are not close. And then doesn't know how we take it. Then, every pastor would want a new member. Six of us, with my mom too. 7. So that he would want new members or people that would even contribute. But then he spoke the word to me. I was happy. I said, thank God. I said it first, then he confirmed it. And that on Monday, I dropped my resignation letter and I went out. And I've never regretted that decision. It was difficult, but so we can make wrong choices. But, for example, let's say it was even Elimelech alone that died. Oh, Naomi should be thinking, it's like this thing. Let's go back home, but once you take a decision and then you are too ashamed to say, okay, I made a mistake, I'm finding my way back. By the time you continue on that way, instead of going back, like I spoke the previous on GPS, when you follow a wrong direction and you suddenly know that you're on the wrong direction, why don't you come back before things get so bad? And so Naomi lost three closed ones before she finally decided that it's time to go back home. I pray that we will not have to go through so many trauma before we trace our way back home in Jesus' name. Let me tell you one of the things that happened on my way to that place. One day we were traveling to that place. On our way, we were almost kidnapped. We were being chased. There's so many things that could have happened to us. But there's so many things we don't understand. The place might look okay, might look rosy, might look glittery, might be better, might pay better. But once you see God, say you are in the wrong place, it's time to go back. So Naomi took courage and decided to go back. And he spoke with his daughter-in-law. And he said, there is nothing I have to offer, please go. They wept and wept. They said they will follow. One thing I learned about Ruth and Orpah is that between them, difference is that Ruth made a decision and she stood by it. But Orpah was somebody that would be moved by sentiment and reasoning. Because you can imagine somebody that you are following, somebody that your mentor is telling you, don't follow me, don't do this, don't do that, there's nothing, and then gives you reasons why you should go back. Ruth decided that the decision she took, it was to the point of death. He said, where you die, I will die. She made that decision that I've met with you, I've experienced God in your life. Although Naomi was not with the children of God, yet she retained characteristics as a child of God. At least she mentioned a God, not a small g. Your God will be my God. Your people will be my people. She made a resolute decision. But Orpah's decision was short-lived. And people that take decisions, see children, young girls, at the beginning of their life, they say, I'm going to follow the Lord. No turning back. I will never turn back.
I can never turn back. It's already too late.
No, it's already too late. At maybe age 13, 14, 15, 16, then life happens. And then I will never turn back or turns to, I cannot come and kill myself. And you say, I'm going back. See, this Christianity is too difficult. It's too stressful. and a boy comes with something, they came with some better offers, or you get things that will entice you, and then because of a short-lived sensation, a short-lived happiness, then you deny yourself of writing your name in history as one of the women that can never be forgotten. Ruth was so important in history that God God allowed her name to be part of the books of the Bible. Out of 66 books, Ruth found her name there. She didn't ask to be put there. She was significant. The book was not named Boaz, it was not named Naomi, it was named Ruth, because she took a decision. And so in life, I want to encourage, especially young ladies and young boys, when you give your heart to Jesus very early. I remember then when I was 12, I think around that, I gave my heart to Jesus when I was 12. I remember in school, secondary school, some of my classmates would say, one of them would tell me, you, this girl, you will soon go back. You will soon turn back. It's by the grace of God. I say that it's only by the grace of God, but you have to decide. It's God's grace that keeps, yes. We can't keep ourselves. There were temptations, there have been temptations, there are still temptations. But then you make up your mind and say, God, I want to follow you. Regardless of what comes my way, regardless of the challenges, regardless of who comes my way, regardless of how much I need what this person is bringing as an offer, I'm going to follow the Lord. You make up your mind. And following the Lord, what does it do to your life? It makes your life less complicated. It rewrites your story. You don't have to share from the generational curse. I remember when I was going to marry, the Lord gave me a passage. He said, the father has eaten the sour grapes and the children's teeth are set on edge. There are some sins the fathers have committed and it's affecting the children. He said that proverb will no longer be said. That is, it breaks the umbilical cord that connects you to your ancestral problems, ancestral causes. Because once you choose to follow the Lord, then it detaches you from whatsoever evil is running in your lineage, and you then enter into that lineage of grace. I pray that everyone that is listening to the sound of my voice, the Lord will rewrite your story and make your life what it ought to be in Jesus' name. So